Well, hello everyone. My name is Jay Berkowitz, and thank you for joining us for this monthly webinar. And I hope that all of you are watching this for proactive reasons, but 99 out of 100 times, I get the call when someone's Google is a mess. So today we're going to talk about reputation management mastery, how to remove the bad stuff from Google. And 9 times out of 10, you can't remove it anymore. You're just pushing it down from page 1 to page 2, and then hopefully page 2 to page 3, and then almost nobody's going to see it. So what are we mostly talking about here? This is one of our existing clients, and he did a really nice thing. He got a donation for a charitable cause of a 3-month internship in a senator's office, and the donation was purchased by someone who runs a soft porn website, and so it was all over the media that this guy was going to use this internship to have young women working in, and maybe young men too, working in the senator's office all summer. So our client, my friend, had to, say that he didn't ask the senator for permission. He had to take one for the team, and so it was in national newspapers and influencer blog and a gossip blog and one of the top city newspapers in the United States. And so this was a disaster for his personal brand. This is a guy who owns a multi-million-dollar business. And if you searched his name, if you were looking to invest with one of his projects, it was a disaster. Even, the guy who bought the website's photo was there and he was very clickable. So it was a disaster. Here's another one. One of our clients, top attorney, big, major brand in the attorney business, had to fire a couple employees or had to part company. I don't know the details, but one of them went kind of rogue and put up this nasty website and was particularly good at getting these images optimized. So if you searched my client's name, all of these nasty images came up in addition to the nasty website. We were able to get the website removed, and we'll talk about how to do that. This was an attack on a banking family. Made a national magazine, news outlet, and it was an old feud of some sort. We don't really know the roots of it, but there was nasty stuff all over the internet about these folks. Again, we were able to push all the bad stuff off page 1. And finally, this example, we're going to go through many examples, and I apologize, all the details are redacted. Obviously, this is private stuff, but hopefully we'll have enough data to show you how to do these things. But these were attacks on a university president. They used University Review's website, and it was really hurting the university's registrations, and also took an employment standpoint on the website Glassdoor that talks about this president as an employer. So this stuff is nasty. It's a nasty business, and we're also going to touch on negative reviews. So these are a bunch of 1-star reviews for one of our clients. So we're going to talk about how to review those, but really what we're talking about today is the Google, the homepage of Google. That's really my main focus. And a lot of this stuff, as I mentioned, will be whited out for privacy. So anyways, let's get into the details. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and why I believe I'm qualified to talk about this topic. I'm going to share with you some immediate wins. So there's really quick things you could do today and literally start pushing the bad stuff down by 5 o'clock tonight, and how to remove and redact content from Google. So that's the super advanced stuff, actually getting things removed from Google. It's harder to do today, but we've got a couple plays there. Then we'll get into the basic plays. Like this is now, after you get the quick wins, and you want to get into the, a couple months worth of hard work. Here's the next steps that we take for our clients. And then we'll talk about proactive strategies to prevent future damage. So how do you do these things on an ongoing basis if you're in a good position? I saw my buddy Jeff Phillips on here, very highly reputable attorney. He's probably hopefully thinking about more proactive stuff for the future. And then we'll talk about Google reviews and social media management. And finally, some of the more advanced strategies. These are the killer, super advanced stuff that we're doing, cutting edge stuff. So you got to stay till the end, unfortunately, to see that. So about me, I come from an amazing town in Canada called Winnipeg. I always love to say the Winnipeg Jets are doing well, and the Blue Bombers look ready for a championship. And I was fortunate enough to work in an ad agency, and we had both the Jets and the Bombers as one of my first clients when I started out my career. I also had a client called McDonald's Restaurants, and we made TV ads and did a lot of local advertising in Winnipeg. And then I moved to Toronto, Canada, to work at the national head office on both on the ad account and to work at McDonald's as a director of marketing. I also got to work on one of the oldest marketed brands in the world as a category manager at Coca-Cola. And then I jumped into digital marketing working at Sprint. Now, this was the early days of digital. We were getting our clients their first emails, getting companies their first websites. And I transferred down to Florida to work at a company called ediets.com. Now, eDiets was an amazing opportunity in the early days of the internet. Back in 2003, 2002, we were one of the largest advertisers in the world on the internet, and we were sending about 100,000 people a day through mostly banner ads because Google was still in beta. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook was still in high school. So we were spending about $40 million on MSN, AOL, and Yahoo to drive traffic to our website and do a bunch of A/B testing and all kinds of super advanced internet marketing. We had a huge newsletter list. And from that experience and my experience at Sprint, I now had 5 or 6 years of digital, and I wrote the 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing, which was one of the first books ever on internet marketing. I wonder if it was the first book. I should look into that. And then these are two books that came along, 10 Free Internet Marketing Strategies and Matt the Intern's Guide to Digital Marketing. Both became #1 bestsellers in one Amazon category for at least a small period of time. And my new book coming out within the next month, we're just doing final edits, is called Internet Marketing for Law Firms. My company is called 10 Golden Rules, and we do digital marketing for law firms and other professional services companies, and these are some of the law firms we work with around the country. So without further ado, let's learn reputation management mastery and how to remove the bad stuff and push it down the Google reviews. So first things first, I always like to pick the low-hanging fruit, and that's a term for when you're walking through an orchard. You could pick the easy, get the low apples or oranges. So today we're going to pick the low-hanging fruit. And you know, this one, I'm surprised we take over some accounts and their agency didn't even do this for them. But the easiest, fastest thing you can do is put up a pay-per-click ad. So if you've got bad stuff, you want to start pushing it down, the first thing you do is set up a Google Ads account, go to Google AdWords and just set up an account, get a credit card on file, and just start buying your brand. And we're using this fictitious Danny Joe. So no Danny Joes have been harmed in this presentation. We're not trying to represent anybody. This is representative of a figurative individual. And then the next step, so we got the pay-per-click ad. The next thing is you want to optimize your existing website. So this is one of our corporate clients, and he didn't have a really good, slash name page. So we were able to just, get his name page, get his bio, repeat his name several times in his bio, and get an immediate win. For another corporate client, they weren't even, their Google Maps was somehow in suspension, and they've been fumbling around with it. But we were able to talk to our Google reps, get that rectified, get a bunch of reviews in place, and get their brand, get their Google Maps that you control, your Google My Business. When you register it, you control it. Get it, listed and get a bunch of pictures up, and they even have their name on their building. So it's like an immediate win for them. So think of this as real estate. You want to grab the powerful real estate at the top, get a pay-per-click ad, get the website.com/name, and start pushing the bad stuff down. So essentially that's what this, reputation management's all about. So let's talk about some of the building blocks. We got our quick wins. We fixed our website. We got, our name properly registered on our website. We grabbed the Google Maps. Some of the things that you already control, assets you already control. The next things, we're going to have to build some things. We're going to have to do some work, and it's going to take a little bit of time. So we'll talk about how we also schedule that out and do that kind of work. Just checking the chat. Everyone seems good. Okay, so one of the first things we do for a client is we're going to get a website. We're just going to go to GoDaddy. We're going to register their first name, last name.com. I own jberkowitz.com, but if you didn't proactively own a domain, we're going to get, joesmith.com, or what do we call DannyJoe.com. And we're going to build a quick WordPress website. We're going to throw it up with some copy and some pictures. We're going to build 2 or 3 links, and we're going to start building an asset that's going to push the bad stuff down. Here's another one we did for a university president. Again, we just bought her name.com, and we started building a website and started adding content to it, pictures, videos, so that we're optimizing. And so here's an example of the name.com website. We got dannyjoe.com in this fictitious example, and we're starting to push the bad stuff down. The next layer to that is we might build 5 or 10 alternate websites. This is some work we did for an attorney. So we build a .us, a .net, a .org, this one's a .org, this one's a .university. So depending on the tactic and depending what we're doing, we are buying multiple websites to protect those individuals. This one we called, name university, the name of the university .reviews, to get some amazing reviews. That a lot of the students love this place. Get the amazing reviews out there and get this website to rank for, if you're searching website name and reviews, the domain website name and reviews is going to rank for that search query. Then you want to build out all the social media. So I just showed my social media here, but so a few of these individuals I'm talking about were resistant. They're like, I don't do social media. I don't do LinkedIn. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Reputation management client, you got a problem here. So literally I created their LinkedIns a couple times and just, I was their first friend and started, connecting with their employees and their friends and family, just so they had a LinkedIn presence. And LinkedIn's super powerful. Twitter's super powerful. So just, building it out a little bit, you can't just have nothing on there. But, once you get 50 or so friends, you're going to start ranking for your name on the first page for LinkedIn. Twitter will follow closely behind. And obviously, you want to do Facebook. And for a company, you want to do a Twitter page for a Facebook page for the company. We had a tremendous amount of success for this individual doing media outreach. He was an expert in his field, and we were able to capture on a hot media trend, partner with a PR firm. They did a ton of media outreach. We got national, international media for him. And that was so awesome for, the getting ranked, getting it on his YouTube channel, getting it on his blogs, getting it on the websites we created. It was like super powerful. And again, we're talking about basic blocking and tackling here. Getting press releases out. So, all of these individuals are involved in charities and communities, their local associations. So, if you re-up to be on a board of directors, if you make a donation, if your company has a community program, one of our clients does something amazing every month in the community. So we created a community website just to talk about all the things they do in the community. So we've got good press out there. And then every month we do a press release. I always use a different wire service for that. Just because in the old days, we used to use the same wire service and Google didn't seem to like that. So we use a different wire service every month. And then when you have real news, when you hire a new attorney or a new employee, when you win a major case or you sign an agreement, make an acquisition, those should be full-fledged wire press releases, on the old-fashioned AP wire or the big PR news wire. But then you can use the small local wire services every month, and different media are going to pick those up, and you're going to always, have some content, if not on the first page of Google, in Google News, which is also, pretty relevant, especially if people start sniffing around a little bit. They're going to look for news. So, hey, we're making some progress. We got the low-hanging fruit. We got the immediate wins. We got things like the PPC ad. We got website.com/name. We got, YouTube and LinkedIn, and we created a university.com site or, set up a scholarship, which is always awesome. So we're starting to push the bad stuff down. So now, on your phone, you might not even see this rip-off report or some of the bad stuff because you started to own the top of the real estate. Next, we want to move into some more advanced strategies to get the bad stuff onto page 2 and page 3. We'll talk about how to do that. But first, I want to just talk about, what are you doing in terms of blocking and tackling every month on an ongoing basis? So one of the things you should do is get Google alerts. Again, this is just the basic blocking and tackling. Google Alerts will send you an email every time your brand is mentioned. So if you're working for yourself, or you're working for your boss, or you're working for as an agency or agent for someone who's got a reputation problem, you want to know what new stuff is out there. You want to address it. You want to try and get it removed if you can, if there's trademark issues or whatever. So we just sign up for Google Alerts. This was a Google Alert for 10 Golden Rules. It was a different 10 Golden Rules, but I get an alert every time someone mentions Jay Berkowitz or 10 Golden Rules, and every one of my clients. And then there's a number of tools that can do social media monitoring. So we generally just use SEMrush because that's an SEO tool that we already subscribe to. But there's a bunch of them: TalkWalker, Awario, Mention, Brandwatch. This is how the TalkWalker page looks, how much negativity there is. And, if you're a big company, obviously you have a social media customer service department monitoring your social media. But maybe if you're a little bit smaller and you're going through a bit of an issue, you want to monitor what's being said out there and get an alert or keep a trend line on what's called sentiment. And sentiment is basically, they say, how much of it's good, how much of it's bad. And so you want to be able to hopefully monitor over time as you're improving things, and maybe proactively jumping on some charitable initiatives, some new hires, some working with partner companies, getting some good news out there in your industry and in the press to counter some bad stuff if it occurred. Image optimization, super important. Less important than it was. Like, remember when you used to do a Google search, the images would always pop at the top? Google seems to be showing that less now, but if they do pop and there's negative stuff, and you saw with one of our clients, the guy was putting negative stuff in association with the client's image, we were able to get a lot of that stuff removed because those images were just copied from our client's website. So you can address that with Google as a copyright, trademark, whatever type of infringement, and you can get that stuff somewhat taken down. But we also do a ton of proactive image optimization. Pinterest is awesome. As a matter of fact, for one of our clients, Pinterest is the top result when you search his name right now. And then we just calendarize a lot of activities. So, here's some removing stuff and some letters that we're writing to either websites or Google. And we work with a lot of lawyers. So obviously it's easy for them to write a lawyer's letter to a website. And if you can find some low-hanging fruit, like there's a trademark violation, or they used a picture from your website, or they used slander or anything that's illegal or against Google's terms of service, you can get stuff removed with a lawyer's letter a lot of times. Then we're building new websites. We're doing press releases, public relations on an ongoing basis. Web 2.0 is, sort of that broader set of websites. So the obvious social media is like the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram. The next set of things are like for attorneys, it's all the directory sites. So we'd work on the Avos and the lawyer.com and the FineLaw and the super lawyers. And if you haven't done some of those things and you have a reputation issue, you definitely want to jump on all of those things, getting active in, getting listed on the Chamber of Commerce and your local associations, any industry associations. So that's kind of the next layer of that Web 2.0. And there's probably 100 websites that we can get you properly indexed on and get, 5 or 10 of them are going to hit the first page, so it's not, there's no magic. Like, I can't tell you in your industry, for your brand, for your current SEO, which ones you can come up for. And by the way, if you have a common name, you've got all kinds of other factors, right? But if you have a common name, or you're the same name as a movie star, you probably don't have an issue because you're on page 2 anyways. And that's a different kind of reputation management, to get, our client CEO on the first page if he has the same name as a movie star or a sports athlete. And then Google My Business, obviously very effective if it's a corporate initiative and not an individual. So we kind of calendarize these things. And I like to talk about this because it's like, again, it's basic blocking and tackling, but it's a mistake that so many companies don't make. Like, they don't have a plan for, like, the first Monday of the month, the newsletter goes out. The second Monday of the month, our press release goes out and we come up with a topic. The third Monday of the month, we talk about our charitable initiative. The fourth Monday of the month, we talk about any company news. And if we don't have company news, we create something. But if there's a calendar, every week something goes out. And And we do that for ourselves, like this webinar. 2 weeks before the webinar, we sent out an email. We sent out a Facebook, a LinkedIn, a Twitter, on my personal Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. Then, a week before the webinar, same thing, email, social media. So you got to calendarize these things or it never happens. Okay, so that's the basics. That's the low-hanging fruit, the blocking and tackling, the monthly calendarization. And let's touch on a few of the advanced strategies. Making good time here. I love it. So removing from Google. So there's a few different ways you can remove from Google, but one of the easy wins is removing bad Google reviews. And if you see here is a 1-star review, and she's really upset with this firm. So what do? You log into your Google My Business for the firm, and then you click on Manage Reviews, and then you find the negative review, and then you click on these 3 dots and flag is inappropriate, and then you explain why you're reporting this. So here's all the different reasons why. Off topic. So if someone's just saying something negative, but it has nothing to do, like let's say they, are complaining about the socialite Paris Hilton, but they put a negative review on the Paris Hilton hotel website, and they didn't like Paris Hilton's wedding dress. She just got married. That would be an example of the person put the review. It's off topic. Spam. So if it seems like the review's from a bot or it's fake or there's misspellings or grammatical, like it's obviously created by some kind of robot. Conflict of interest. Okay, if you're pretty confident that it was done by a competitor. Profanity is a reason you can have Google reviews removed. Bullying or harassment, of course. Society, we're very sensitive to that, and it's against Google's terms of service, as is discrimination or hate speech and personal information. So you can click here, get more information on each of these, and that's an easy win. Someone put a 1-star review, it's a bot, or it's a competitor, or it's harassment, or they used a swear word. Easy money. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes Google. There's human review, so it could take a couple of weeks, but just do it once. Put your hands in what do we call it? Put your hands in church, and wait. Don't have 14 people try and get it redacted. That's supposed to be the best policy. And then we've actually been able to get stuff redacted from Google. So some of the obvious wins are things like hate speech and trademark violation, copyright violation, and things like that. And then we also used this guy who came up with a strategy where he would go to court and get stuff removed for those reasons. It's extremely expensive. It actually, had to go to court. But in some instances, we were able to get stuff removed or actually redacted from Google. It was, significantly tens of thousands of dollars. But if you have a serious issue, let's talk about it and see how we can help. Another advanced one is Wikipedia. And that might seem kind of obvious, but the reason it's an advanced strategy is it's super hard to get Wikipedia today. Like you can't just throw any 22-year-old CEO up on Wikipedia. We're looking at one of those instances right now. You've got to have significant what's called notability and significant, probably 10, 8 or 10, 12 media mentions. And this was the client who got on Bloomberg and all those national media outlets. So we combined the PR strategy with being able to get a Wikipedia, and it's super powerful. It's number 1 or 2 for his brand. This was the university president. We were also able to get her a Wikipedia. And then there's other options, right? Like sometimes Wikipedia is just not going to be possible. So you want to get something like Everipedia. And there's probably a dozen different pedias out there. But this one's pretty good. Everipedia probably rank, if not page 1, page 2. Tony Robbins, well, he did have a reputation problem, but I just put him up there because he's a rock star. And then Slideshare is another good one, and now we're getting into like some of the, like let's call it phase 2 or phase 3. But putting up presentations on Slideshare works great. It's owned by LinkedIn and it indexes really, really well. Here's another big win, an Amazon author page. You could just create an ebook. This client actually has a couple books and ebooks. And so we created an Amazon author page. We optimized it for his name. We put some links to it, and we were able to build it. And by the way, links is a super powerful strategy. I don't think I have a slide for this one, but one of the other things we do is, let's say there's some good content on page 2 and page 3, and we want to push it to page 1. And it's not even our content, but we'll do off-page search engine optimization for that. So we'll actually build links to, like a review site or a local site, a local article about our client, and push that to page 1 with search engine optimization, off-page search engine optimization. We talk mostly about building websites. So that would be on page, on a website that you own, but you can also push websites by building links to them. If you don't own them, like any link is going to factor in the Google algorithm. And so getting links to those page 2 and page 3 sites, sometimes super effective. And also buying existing websites. So let's say, you want to start with a website that already has a Google ranking. So like, these are just examples of legal websites, but, find legal help here for $50. You can get this site. Immigration E, like let's say you had an immigration attorney that had a problem. You could buy this website and you could put a bunch of content about him or the firm name on this website. And because it's an existing website, if it already has existing Google presence, you could, possibly pop that to page 1 real quick. And finally, this is like a super advanced thing. We just have started doing this for some clients, and essentially it's a way we can get in the search suggest. So if you type accident attorney Richmond and you just type the RICH, our client gets auto suggested. And so this is a super advanced strategy. We're doing it now in mesothelioma, motorcycle lawyers, in a number of different markets. And we're able to get that search suggest. So obviously, if this pops up with an image and stuff, a lot of people just click on it. They weren't looking for Jeff, but they're looking for an accident attorney in Richmond. But if they click this, they get a search result that only has things about Jeff McDonald. It's got his website, it's got his LinkedIn, it's got his Facebook. It's really powerful because we basically own all the search results for accident attorney. So if you have a name issue, this is a strategy we can employ for you to, so even before people get to Google, you're going to own that search. So super advanced strategy there. So after all our hard work, and believe me, we've gone through a couple months worth of hard work. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. Voila, the bad stuff's gone. So we've got our PPC ad, we've got our .name website, our university website, a bunch of social media, and essentially what we're doing is pushing the bad stuff off the page. So I went real quick, but let me review, and I'm happy to take some questions as well. What are some of the immediate wins? Well, we talked about just get a pay-per-click ad up. I can't tell you, like, almost every one of these accounts that I showed you today, when we started working with the client, they didn't have a pay-per-click ad, and they'd had an agency and a PR firm, all kinds of people working on it. Like, this is basic stuff for us in the industry, but often missed. So, get a Google pay-per-click ad, and that's even one of the proactive things you could do. We were able to get the Google Maps indexing, and we were able to get the existing website, that the firm owned, but we had problems with the CEO, with the university president. We had to tweak the existing website to get a page with their name, to get their name indexed on the page, on the title of the page, in the H1 meta titles and the titles and descriptions and the keywords on the page in the background of the HTML, to also feed that to Google. And that's a relatively simple, straightforward, and often a super quick win. Within a couple days, Google will generally index that page on the company site. Some of the basic foundational plays, we talked about different things like image optimization, super important, social media, getting the LinkedIn page for the individual, the LinkedIn company page, the Facebook page, the Twitter page, etc. Social media, YouTube is awesome, doing YouTube videos. YouTube will almost always hit the first page. So, you create a youtube.com/jberkowitz if it was for me, and then you get, shoot 8 or 10 videos. They can be short, 2 to 3 minute Q&A videos, just answer questions that your customers ask We do that all the time for SEO anyways. Create a YouTube channel, the name channel, build some links to that channel, give it a little goose. It generally hit the first page. Proactive strategies. So, basically you could go through every single one of these strategies proactively for your company. I highly recommend it, right? Get all those social media sites properly created. Try and get a Wikipedia. If not, get an Everpedia. Get a YouTube page created. Do some, press releases. Don't have to do them every month. If you don't have a problem, maybe every quarter. But use a different wire service. Try and get some media. Even podcasts are awesome, right? Like I find every time I'm interviewed on a podcast, they give you a link because they're promoting their podcast. And that's a great way to get a link. So podcast interviews, blog interviews. And again, you can do a lot of that stuff proactively, and you can do it reactively in a problem situation. We talked about Google reviews and social media management. Real powerful and important to have that monitoring service. And then you always want to get in there and comment on Google reviews, Facebook reviews, positive ones, thank you, that can be short and sweet. Negative ones, there's a whole protocol for how to reply. Essentially, you want to try and get them to have a conversation with you offline. You don't want to get into one of those tit for tats, like, we've never seen you as a client. Well, I didn't use my real name. Blah, blah, and it's just like you get them more angry. That's not a good thing. So you want to say, hey, DM me, which is direct message. And I'd love to take care of this, and I promise I'll make it good for you. And then finally, some of the advanced strategies we talked about, actually getting the search before they get to the Google page. So that search auto suggest is an awesome new tool, brand new. We've just started doing it in the last couple months, and we're having great success with it. Some of the other advanced things, Wikipedias, and actually getting pages removed or redacted from Google. So with that, I'll just wrap up and say, if you enjoyed this, and you made it this far, you probably did, I really appreciate any speaking opportunities. I love to speak for, any CEO groups, bar associations. I spoke recently at the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association. It was awesome. We met a bunch of great folks. And of course, the reason we do all of this is, this is our marketing program, and we want to help you with your digital marketing. So if you enjoy our content, if you think we know a little bit, and this, by the way, there's a whole team who taught me all this stuff, that they do it on a regular basis. I do more of this, and they do more of the fixing problems and proactive Google management. So we have a whole team of digital marketers. So we'd love you to send me an FU in the chat, and I'll follow up. FU means follow up, right? my friend Bruce Turkell's line. Or you can do a Calendly. Maria, if you beat me to it, maybe you can throw the Calendly link in the chat. Oh, you did already. She's awesome. So happy to take some questions, and you all can use I think there's a Q&A function and a chat function. And I see one now. How do you monitor your client's brand across all platforms? Well, that's a great question. I think I had a slide for that, so I'll just see if I can find it quicker than I can make up an answer. Yeah, so this is TalkWalker. We use SEMrush because we use it for SEO purposes, but there's a bunch of them. Awario, Mention, and basically they monitor your brand, any mention of your brand in social media, in media, blogs, on other websites, and they immediately tell you when someone's either mentioned your brand or linked to your website or your social media. So that would be the way to go with that. Just going to triple back here. Wait, where did my chat go? The amazing disappearing chat. Hey, Gayleen, thanks for your question. Do you charge for speaking to chambers of commerce groups, for example? Talking about e-marketing for small business? No, I generally don't charge. I mean, if it's totally off topic, like I spoke to the Plumbing and Air Conditioning Association, and I spoke to the Independent Jewelers Association, and had to fly out to Dallas, and it cost me a couple days. Then I take a speaking fee. But generally, if I'm speaking to lawyers or C-level folks, I don't charge. and chambers of commerce. Like if I have to fly to the Boise Chamber of Commerce, and it's a couple days out of the office, I have to charge for that. But if it's a Zoom, I'm all in, so no charge for that. Another question from Karen: how long will it take to clean up an existing search disaster we currently have? Great question. Well, basically you follow the process that I outlined in this document. The pay per click, the optimizing your website. You can have that done by the end of the week, and then building a website's going to take a week or so, or 2 or 3, depending on. My old boss had a great line. We were working with AT&T, and we were their agency, and I came in and I was running in, and they said, like, oh, the client needs this right away. And he said, tell them they can get it good, faster, cheap. Pick 2. Good, faster, cheap. Pick 2. So like if money's no object, we could build a website, in a week and have, and build links to it and get a brand new website optimized. If money's no object, we could buy an existing website that has existing Google links and Google search results, and then add a couple pages with the exact keyword term we want. We could get that indexed quicker. So if money's no object, we could move quicker. If we have money to engage a big PR firm and do media outreach and get some stories in the real media, obviously that's going to have a quicker, more powerful impact if we can make that happen. But you need real media for most media, although evidently a lot of media can be bought today. And in fact it can. There's a lot of pretty prominent links that you can buy for like $3,000, one of the national name brand links. You can write for Forbes, you can write for Entrepreneur. So there's a ton of things you can do real quick if money's no object. And then some of the other things take time. Like Wikipedia. You're going to need those media credibility in order to get Wikipedia if you don't have it already. If you have it already, we can get your Wikipedia relatively quickly. So that I think that answers that question. Thanks, Kayleen. Is SEO and reputation management somehow tied together? Or can we do reputation management without SEO services? Another good question. So, I consider reputation management to be a subset of SEO. I mean, a lot of what we talked about today is getting websites indexed in Google. And really that's what you do in search engine optimization. Google Maps, that's part of our SEO team. That's part of our SEO practice. And it's part of our search engine optimization, our local search engine optimization experts. Link building I talked a fair bit about. That's part of SEO. That's part of our SEO team. So, the two are pretty intrinsically linked, and I would encourage you to build links, to do a lot of this stuff proactively. And it's just good search engine optimization, right? Building content, sending press releases, optimizing your website for your company brand or your CEO's brand is all just search engine optimization. So fold that into your regular SEO practice, and you're proactively doing reputation management. If your CEO says, I don't want a LinkedIn, I don't believe in social media. Well, veto, you have veto power. Show them some reputation management disasters and let them know that you've got to get these things done proactively, or let her know in the case of the university president. Do we have an in-house copywriter to write content and build links? Thanks, Rob. We do have in-house copywriters, and we also use external experts. As a matter of fact, for Wikipedia, you want to find a Wikipedia editor who has some clout in Wikipedia, that they already edit a number of pages. So a lot of times we'll find a specialist, and if we're writing on a topic, our attorney writer, editor-in-chief, worked for 5 years at a law firm website, and so he's in-house. But let's say we were writing about for our aviation client or something, we might find an expert, a subject matter expert writer, and then our in-house team, our editor, and our SEO team will review it before we put it out or put it on any websites. Awesome. Well, I think that's it for questions. I'm just going to check the Q&As. Oh, nobody used Q&A today. So where are we? About 45? Yeah, that's perfect. I want to come in around 45 minutes, keep this tight. So I want to thank everyone for being here today and everybody who's here in the future. I want you to please put a comment in my social media and let me know if you made it this far and you enjoyed this. I love it when I get those, hey, it's 2024. I just watched this reputation management. Still pretty good. And frankly, this will be, 90% of it's still going to be true in 2024 because this is the same blocking and tackling we've been doing for the last 10 years. Not that much has changed except for the search auto suggest is like a brand new tool, but getting pages, buying websites, getting links, um, getting your social media to index, that's the same playbook we've been using for the last 10 years. You just got to execute well. All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and I love to connect with you. Please use the Calendly link in the chat or the one here on the screen. It's a little long, calendly.com/jberkowitz. By the way, if you haven't seen Calendly, it's awesome. You just click on it, you'll see my calendar, and we book a half an hour and we'll get together. And the app actually sets an appointment and sends me a calendar appointment, sends you a calendar appointment, and it puts the Zoom in there for us. So neither of us has to do any work, just find a good time. So I look forward to meeting some of you in the future, and some of you have already met. Thank you for being here. And with that, we're out. Good luck with your reputation management.